You are standing in front of a beautiful view, a sunset, a quiet ocean. Maybe you are looking at someone who loves you. The setting is perfect. The moment is perfect. But inside your chest there is absolutely nothing. No joy, no warmth, no connection. Just a flat, gray, endless emptiness. You try to force the feeling. You tell yourself you should be happy. You remember a time when a moment like this would have made your heart race. But now it is just quiet, a dead heavy quiet. And the terrifying part is not that you feel nothing. The terrifying part is that you did this to yourself. You think you have mastered your emotions. You think you have built a fortress. You read the books. You practiced the detachment. When the world got chaotic, when the people you trusted let you down, when the pain became too sharp, you decided to stop bleeding. You turned off the valve. You became untouchable. No one can hurt you anymore. No tragedy can break you. You call this peace. You call this strength. But look closer. Peace is the presence of harmony. What you have is the absence of life. You have not mastered your emotions. You have murdered them. You did not build a fortress to protect the warmth inside. You built a tomb, and you locked yourself in it. This is core wisdom. If you have ever felt this coldness creeping into your soul, if you know what it is like to survive but forget how to live, you are in the right place. Subscribe. We build the fortress together. Let us be brutally honest about how you got here. It did not happen overnight. It was a slow, methodical freezing. It started after a betrayal, or a profound failure, or a season of anxiety so intense that it threatened to tear your mind apart. You realize that caring deeply is a vulnerability. Hope is a liability. Love is a hostage situation. When you care, the world has leverage over you. When you hope, the world can crush you. So you made a strategic decision. You decided to be the one who cares less, the one who expects nothing, the one who cannot be disappointed, and it worked. The agonizing pain stopped. The crushing anxiety faded into a manageable, dull hum. You became highly functional. You do your work. You pay your bills. You nod in conversations. You smile when it is socially appropriate. People look at you and think you are grounded, stable, unshakable. But late at night, when the distraction fades, you feel the chill. You realize that in your desperate attempt to stop the pain, you accidentally amputated your joy. The psychological mechanism is simple but ruthless. You cannot selectively numb emotion. You cannot build a wall that only keeps out the grief, the anger, and the heartbreak, while letting in the love, the passion, and the warmth. When you shut down the nervous system to survive the winter, you lose the ability to feel the spring. You think this is what the ancient philosophers wanted. You think this is Stoicism. You imagine the great Stoic masters as cold, unfeeling statues made of marble. Men who stared at the death of their children and felt nothing. Men who walked through war and disease with a blank, robotic stare. You have mistaken Stoicism with a lowercase s for the ancient breathing philosophy of Stoicism with a capital S. You think apathy is a virtue. But here is what nobody tells you. This is where the illusion breaks. Apathy is not strength. Apathy is the ultimate cowardice. You are not numb because you are strong. You are numb because you are terrified. You are practicing death while you are still alive. You are so afraid of the sting of rejection, the agony of loss, and the unpredictability of human connection that you have voluntarily buried yourself beneath 6 feet of emotional concrete. 2,000 years ago, the ancients had a word for this state of being. They did not call it peace. They called it a disease of the soul. Think of the difference between a fortress and a tomb. A fortress has thick stone walls. It has iron gates. It is built to withstand a siege. But what is inside the fortress? Fire, warmth, laughter, music. People living fiercely and passionately, protected by those walls. The walls exist to preserve the life inside, not to extinguish it. A tomb also has thick stone walls. It also has iron doors. Nothing gets in. The storm outside cannot disturb it. It is perfectly quiet, perfectly safe, perfectly peaceful, because everything inside it is dead. Which one are you living in? You have successfully protected yourself from the world, but the cost of this protection was your humanity. You no longer weep, but you also no longer laugh from the bottom of your stomach. You no longer feel the crush of heartbreak, but you also no longer feel the electric, terrifying thrill of being completely known by another human being. You are safe, you are secure, and you are suffocating. This is the modern tragedy of the false Stoic. You have confused emotional regulation with emotional execution. You have taken a philosophy designed to help you navigate the turbulent ocean of life, and used it as an excuse to never leave the shore. But the human heart was not designed to be kept in a vacuum. It was designed to break and heal and break again, growing larger with every fracture. In the year 175 AD, Emperor Marcus Aurelius faced a devastating betrayal. His most trusted general, Cassius, launched a rebellion to steal the throne. Marcus did not react with cold, robotic apathy. He grieved. He mourned the loss of a friend. When his beloved tutor, Fronto, lost a child, Marcus wrote to him with profound, aching sorrow. He did not tell his friend to suppress it. He did not say that grief was a weakness. The man who wrote the ultimate manual on mental discipline felt the agonizing weight of love and loss. He felt it all. He knew that to strip away emotion is to strip away the very essence of what makes us human. Look closer at the emperor's tears. He wept for his friend. He felt the crushing weight of the betrayal in his chest. And then he wiped his face, stepped out of his tent, and went back to work. He commanded his army. He ruled his empire. That is the secret. You have profoundly misunderstood the ancient Greek word apatheia. When you read the ancient texts, you translated it as apathy. You thought it meant feeling nothing. You thought it meant becoming a ghost in your own life. Wrong. To the Stoics, apatheia did not mean the absence of emotion. It meant the absence of destructive emotion. It meant not being a slave to your irrational impulses. A king still feels the weight of the crown. A king still feels the sting of betrayal. A king still bleeds when he is cut. But the king does not abandon the throne when it hurts. He feels the pain and he rules anyway. You abandoned your throne. You felt the pain and you locked the door to the throne room from the inside. But it gets worse. When you suppress your pain, you do not destroy it. You just store it in the basement of your mind. Carl Jung, the pioneer of modern psychology, understood this perfectly. He mapped the dark corners of the human mind. He knew that what you resist persists. He called it the shadow. Your numbness is not a sign of philosophical mastery. It is a trauma response. It is your ego desperately trying to protect you from a chaotic, unpredictable world. You have constructed a false self, a mask of indifference. Think of a man who is terrified of drowning. He takes a deep breath, dives underwater, and refuses to exhale. He thinks he is safe because no water can get in. But eventually, his own breath turns to poison. His lungs burn. He suffocates from the inside out. That is what you are doing. You are holding your emotional breath. You have been holding it for years. You think you are keeping the pain out. But you are just poisoning yourself with the unexpressed weight of your own life. And this raises a question that philosophers have argued about for centuries. If you kill the pain, what happens to the joy? They use the exact same neurological pathways. They use the same corridors in your mind. The human heart does not have separate valves for agony and ecstasy. There is only one valve. When you lower the heavy iron gate of your tomb to keep out the grief, you also lock out the sunlight. You lock out the awe. You lock out the quiet, overwhelming gratitude of simply being alive. You lock out the warmth. When was the last time you felt truly in awe, not amused, not distracted, not mildly entertained by a screen, but genuinely, deeply, terrifyingly in awe of the world? If you cannot remember, it is because awe requires vulnerability. Awe requires the drawbridge to be lowered. It requires you to step outside the tomb and stand naked in the wind. The Cure was written centuries ago. It is a concept you have probably heard, but completely misinterpreted. Amor Fati, a love of fate. Notice the word, love, not tolerance, not passive resignation, not a cold, dead acceptance of whatever miserable hand the universe deals you. Love. To love your fate means to embrace the absolute totality of the human experience. It means looking at the chaos of existence and refusing to look away. It means opening your arms to the betrayal, the heartbreak, the grief, the failures, and the quiet moments of despair, and saying, "Give it to me, all of it." Why? Because it is the only way to get the joy, the connection, and the fire. You cannot buy the mountain peak without also buying the dark valley below. The ancient philosopher Seneca was one of the wealthiest men in Rome. He had everything a man could desire. Yet, he regularly practiced poverty. He wore rough clothes. He slept on the cold, hard floor. He ate stale bread, not because he hated wealth, but because he refused to let fear dictate his emotional state. He felt the cold floor against his skin, and he embraced it. He did not numb himself to the discomfort. He leaned into it. He proved to himself that he could survive the harshness of reality without shutting down his humanity. Now, pay attention. This is the part that matters. You have to start feeling again, and it is going to hurt. When a limb has been frozen in the snow, the most painful part is not the freezing. The freezing is just a quiet, creeping numbness. The most agonizing part is the thaw. When the blood rushes back into your frozen veins, it feels like fire. It burns. It aches. Your nerves scream as they wake up from their long, artificial sleep. You are going to experience an emotional thaw. The grief you buried is going to surface. The anger you swallowed is going to burn your throat. The sadness you ignored is going to make your chest heavy. The sheer, overwhelming volume of life is going to hit you all at once. And your first instinct will be to run. Your first instinct will be to rebuild the tomb, to slam the heavy iron door shut and retreat back into the safe gray emptiness. Do not. Let it burn. You are not broken, you are being rebuilt, you are just waking up. This is what it means to be alive. It is messy, it is loud, it is brutally, beautifully painful. A fortress does not deny the existence of the storm. It does not pretend the wind is not howling. It withstands it. It feels the battering rain against its stone walls, and it remains standing. You must dismantle the tomb you have built, stone by stone. You must rebuild the fortress. You must invite the fire back into the hearth. Yes, the fire can burn you. Yes, the fire is dangerous, but without it, you will freeze to death in the dark. You have survived the winter of your own making. But what good is survival if you are dead inside? So break the seal, let the cold air in, let the memories flood the chamber. When you finally drop the armor, you are going to feel incredibly fragile. You will feel like you are walking through the world without skin. Every comment will sting. Every memory will ache. Every failure will feel like a physical blow, and your mind will panic. Your mind will tell you that you made a tragic mistake. It will scream at you to retreat. Do not retreat. Stand your ground. Did the sharp sting of rejection return? Good. You are putting yourself in the arena again. Did the agonizing weight of grief come back? Good. It means you had the courage to love something deeply. Did the crushing fear of failure keep you awake last night? Good. Your heart is beating. You are finally striving for a life that matters. Did a memory break your heart all over again? Good. A broken heart is an open heart. Did the anger rise up in your chest, hot and demanding? Good. Your boundaries are waking up. Your self-respect is returning from the dead. This is the medicine. Drink it to the dregs. When you break the seal, the world will seem overwhelmingly loud. Colors will seem too bright. Conversations will carry a weight you had forgotten. You will find yourself tearing up at a piece of music, or a stray memory, or the simple sight of rain falling on the street. Do not wipe the tears away in shame. Do not apologize for the tremor in your voice. These are not signs of weakness. They are the vital signs of a recovering soul. For years, you measured your strength by how much you could endure without flinching. But enduring without flinching is the job of a brick wall. It is the job of a tombstone. Your job is to be human. The Stoics did not want you to be a stone. They wanted you to be the ocean. The surface of the ocean can be whipped into a violent, terrifying frenzy by the storm. The waves crash, the wind howls. But if you dive deep enough, beneath the chaos, the water is perfectly, immovably still. That stillness is not achieved by freezing the water. It is achieved by having depth. Your problem is not that you feel too much. Your problem is that your emotional capacity is too shallow. You have spent your life trying to stop the storm, instead of building your depth. When you finally allow yourself to feel the full spectrum of human agony, something miraculous happens. You expand. Your emotional vessel grows larger, and this is where the profound, quiet joy finally returns. Because when you expand your capacity to hold grief, you automatically expand your capacity to hold love. When you stop running from the fear of loss, you finally unlock the ability to be intensely, fiercely present with the people you care about. You stop living like a ghost haunting your own life. You step back into your body. Carl Jung said that no tree can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. You have been trying to live exclusively in the light, but you were so terrified of the dark that you locked yourself in a gray, windowless room. You chose the numbness of purgatory over the risk of hell, but you cannot have heaven without the risk. You cannot have the sunrise without enduring the terrifying, freezing dark of the night. The highest expression of human strength is not apathy. It is looking directly at the fragility of life. It is knowing that everything you love will eventually be lost to time, and it is choosing to love it anyway. You are the architect of your mind. For years, you built walls to keep the enemy out. Now it is time to build a hearth to keep the fire burning. Let the invaders of pain and sorrow march into the courtyard. Let them make their noise. They are just guests. You are the sovereign. You sit on the throne. You observe them. You feel their presence, and you let them pass. You do not lock the gates. You leave the drawbridge down because you know exactly who you are. So return to that moment. You are standing in front of that beautiful view. The sunset is bleeding gold across the horizon. The quiet ocean is reflecting the fading light. The person who loves you is standing right beside you. But this time the gray emptiness in your chest is gone. You look at the sun, and you feel the warmth on your skin. You look at the ocean, and you feel a profound, aching gratitude. You look at the person beside you, and you feel the terrifying, beautiful vulnerability of loving them. It is not perfectly safe. They might leave. The sun will set, the moment will end. But you do not shut down. You take a deep breath, you let it all in, you let it break you open. Because you are no longer a prisoner in a tomb. You are the ruler of a fortress, and the fire inside is finally burning again. A true king feels the weight of his crown, and a true human feels the weight of their life. Welcome back.